In the early 1960s, when the Quadricentennial Commission was created to plan for St. Augustine's 400th birthday, it had no black members, despite an engaged black community. Community leaders wrote President Kennedy in May of 1963, asking that he oppose a federal grant of $350,000 for the Quadricentennial. They also discouraged Vice President Johnson from attending any segregated events. Boycotts, picketing, and sit-ins began. Black teenagers of the NAACP's Youth Council, led by local dentist Dr. Robert Haling, picketed the St. Augustine Civic Center, local Woolworths, McCrory's, and Service Drugs. White business owners began intimidating and firing their black employees for taking part in demonstrations. With white residents awakened to the presence of an active civil rights movement in their city, many became staunchly opposed to what they perceived as a militant-led movement, including the mayor. By the beginning of 1964, Ku Klux Klan rallies, violent clashes during protests, youth arrests, shootings, and messy court cases had all but erased the local NAACP's chances at resolving the racial issues in the city. It was time to turn elsewhere for help. Haling and other local black leaders reached out to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, also known as the SCLC, led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The SCLC had been watching events of the movement unfold in the ancient city and realized their involvement could strengthen its presence in Florida. The organization would eventually bring Hosea Williams, Reverend C.T. Vivian, Andrew Young, and Dr. King himself to St. Augustine to lead campaign efforts to pressure Congress into passing the Civil Rights Bill. Nonviolent meetings, sit-ins, marches, and demonstrations were all part of plans to bring national attention to the city. Even Northern religious supporters, including Ms. Malcolm Peabody, mother of the governor of Massachusetts, helped support the cause by being arrested and spending 2 nights in jail for participating in a sit-in at a segregated motel dining room. The National Park Service permitted several meetings to take place on the lawn at Castillo de San Marcos National Monument, which was open to citizens of all races. As federal property, the grounds of the old fort, as some called it, were considered a safe and relaxing assembly point outside of the control of the Klan, local police departments, and other segregationist forces. Meetings led to protests to integrate more public areas, including segregated swimming pools and beaches. African Americans in St. Augustine famously planned to beat the heat and segregation. Wade-ins at the St. Augustine beach drew the attention of both supporters and opponents of integration. In the summer of 1964, Dr. King was arrested at the Monson Motor Lodge, along with 17 rabbis who joined to protest the segregated swimming area. The manager of the hotel poured acid into the pool in which black and white protesters were swimming. The extensive media coverage of this and other events in the nation's oldest city led to more public support of integration. The events of the summer of 1964 in St. Augustine are widely credited for the passage of the Civil Rights Act, signed into law that year. Today, the fort remains remarkably unchanged from the time when civil rights activists gathered on its lawn. For some, the Castillo symbolizes the pursuit of a better future. It started with the very first arrivals to this land, continued through the civil rights movement, and still exists today. What does it mean to you?